If someone was to ask me, what is one thing I wish I can teach my CELPIP students in reading, I would say 10 out of 10 times, finding the right option among the 4 options given, especially when 2 or 3 options are really close. This is where people struggle the most, and that's what we're going to look at today with today's CELPIP Reading Challenge. It is by all means a challenge because the passage and the questions I'm going to show you are some things where people, 90% of them, get the wrong answer. So I want to see if you're one of those 90% people or you actually get it right. The last question I'm going to show you today is especially concerning because the correct answer will stare you at the face, but you'll still get it wrong, most likely, because that is what we have seen happen. So let's see how we can fix that with examples we're going to look at today and discuss this in detail to really help you understand. This is the passage we're looking at first. Now we're going to skim through some of the things, but read some other things in detail. That's how you want to do this in the exam because you don't have the luxury of reading everything because of the time constraints. Now this passage says, plant-based, it's about plant-based diet. Meat alternatives have surged in popularity over the past few years, with major food chains and grocery stores offering a wide range of products. Okay, so the plant-based vegan stuff has really grown. Fine. These meat substitutes are often made from this stuff. Fine. They're designed to mimic the taste and texture of real meat, so they're copying the real meat. Supporters claim that they are healthier, more sustainable, and better for animal welfare, so really good things happening with the meat. Plant-based, that is. Now, what am I doing right now? I am skimming through some information that I feel is useless, it's repetitive, but I'm also reading the main ideas. And you can see whenever I read in my videos, you will see I explain to myself in my own words what I just read. You should do the same thing. It really betters your understanding. Now, the next paragraph, however, some nutritionists argue that these products are highly processed and may not offer significant benefits compared to the whole plant foods like lentils or chickpeas. Fine, so they're opposing it. Others point out that while plant-based meats may reduce environmental impact, so we're all in agreement that it reduces environmental impact, the farming and production processes still require considerable resources. So a lot of work is needed to make them in the first place. Despite the debates, consumers' interest continues to grow, driven by health trends, environmental concerns, and the rise of flexitarian diets. So it's a trend, it's a popular thing. Despite people opposing it, consumers are still buying it. Now we have a good idea, do we? If you don't, pause the video, read again. If you have a good idea, you want to move along with me, let's move along. This is the question. What can be inferred about plant-based meat alternatives? Here is the tricky part. Everything looks correct. Let's look at option A. The production of plant-based products has increased. There was something about growth and increase right there. Plant-based meat alternatives have surged in popularity. Wait a second. It's surged in popularity. It's not about more production. But there's something. Look, with major food chains and grocery stores offering a wide range of products. So they're offering a wide range of products, which means obviously the production must be more because now you have a variety of products. Not really. Maybe the production is the same, but they're packaging it differently. Maybe offering products with alternatives. Maybe offering some other type of food with the meat-based products or offering some discounts. The production is not mentioned. It looks like things have increased. It's kind of obvious that the production might have increased, but it's not saying the same thing. So no, it's a trap. Let's look at the next one. Chickpeas generally have more nutrition. That was mentioned, wasn't it? It said, others point out that while, oh, right there, chickpeas. So it said here, some nutritionists argue that these products are highly processed and may not offer significant health benefits compared to whole plant foods like lentils or chickpeas. So they are saying lentils and chickpeas are healthier. The plant-based stuff is not healthy. Let's look at our option again. Chickpeas have more nutrition. Yes, but not generally. Generally would mean like generally compared to all the foods, or generally if we're talking in daily language, then chickpeas have more nutrition than your chicken breast, your protein shake, and everything. But it didn't say that. It said in comparison to whole plant foods. It's when we're comparing the whole plant foods like chickpeas and the plant-based food that is processed, in that case, chickpeas have more nutrition, but not generally. So it's a trick. We're not going to fall for it. Farming of such can be pricey. What does of such mean? Of such means plant-based meat, because that was being mentioned in the question. So farming of this is expensive. I don't remember anywhere where it said it is expensive. But if it is negative, it's probably going to be in the negative paragraph. So do I see any word like expensive or pricey? I don't. But here's the trick. It is paraphrased. So I want to see where the negativity was mentioned to find out if that matches C. And one thing was less nutrition, fine. And look at this one. Others point out that this may reduce environmental impact. That's positive. The farming and production processes still require considerable resources. Resources, whenever they're required, it's usually price or labor or other stuff. But price is definitely one of the factors. Now, my concern is it didn't say price in the passage. It said resources, but that is the closest thing. And price fits under resources. Maybe the examiner is just paraphrasing that. That's what I'm thinking, and I'm picking C as the answer, but still not 100%. Let me see D to rule this out. Supporters cite social benefits. There were a lot of benefits. Were they social though? Let's have a look. Supporters claim they're healthier, more sustainable, and better for animal welfare. Now, welfare fits in social language, but it's mostly for human beings, not animals. So this is kind of there, but not entirely. There was also the matter about environmental impact right here. And the last line that you'll see here, despite the debates, consumer interest continues to grow, driven by health trends, environmental concerns, and rise of flexitarian diets. Now, environment and animal welfare, these are the closest things to something that is social, but they're both different because socially, how we interact with people, social life, socialization, that's what fits under social, society, rules, justice, that's social. Animal welfare, environment is not. So while it does kind of lead me to thinking it might be the answer, it's not. And despite all these three answers really being mentioned, they're not saying the exact thing. This one is saying the exact thing, but it is slightly paraphrased. It said more resources, which means it can be more pricey. So again, we have to analyze all the options, but you can do a good job of that by making sure you're finding the specific words, and you're also reading the passage the way I was reading it earlier. And I'm going to do the same thing again here if you didn't catch it earlier. Our job is to skim through with this new passage now and get the main idea, understand it, kind of explain it to ourselves, and then look at the questions. So, by looking at the questions, by the way, I mean look at the options after you have read the passage. Now here the passage is about meditation. Meditation has become a popular practice in modern wellness culture, praised for its ability, it reduces stress, improves focus, and emotional well-being. You can see how I skimmed through or read the earlier stuff fast, but when it's mentioning the actual benefits where the questions can be based on, I'm reading that slower. Scientific studies show that regular meditation can lower cortisol levels, so that's, you want to read that slowly, the benefits, activate areas of brain associated with the compassion and self-awareness. Okay, so these are all the benefits. I cannot remember all of them. When I look at the options, if it says something about self-awareness, I'll come back and make sure I read this part again. Now again, the negative. However, not all experiences with meditation are positive. Some individuals report increased anxiety, discomfort during the sessions, particularly when practicing without guidance. So without a teacher or a tutor, they have problems here. Mental health professionals note that for people with unresolved trauma or certain psychological conditions, meditation may temporarily intensify emotional distress. So it can make the distress or trauma worse. Now you can see I also take interest in this, and you should also feel like you're involved in the passage, so it just makes it easy for you to understand. So I'm like, okay, like in my head, I'm going, oh wow, meditation can actually make things worse emotionally. I didn't know that. Okay. As a result, many experts recommend a gradual and supported introduction to meditation, especially for beginners or those with mental concerns. The last sentence just says you need more guidance or a slow path to meditation instead of jumping into it all in. Now, what can meditation lead to? Look at this. Stress reduction, stress increase. Now, when it's like this, it doesn't mean that it has to be one of them. It just might be a trick, and maybe C and D are the answers. But there were both things mentioned. Stress reduction and stress increase. Both can be the answers. Now, your job is to find out specifically what word was really mentioned. When we look at stress, it has the ability to reduce stress, improve focus. So that is 100% A. That is mentioned, no doubt. Is stress increase, was that mentioned? Let's have a look. So this was the negative paragraph. We'll look at the appropriate place. They say there's anxiety or discomfort during sessions. Doesn't mean it's stress related. It could be, particularly when practicing without guidance. Okay, mental professionals, if you have unresolved trauma or certain psychological conditions, meditation may intensify emotional distress. So it can intensify the distress. Doesn't mean it's the same thing like causing stress, especially when it's saying it's emotional distress. And it's saying it's not all the time. It's with people who have unresolved trauma. And even in the previous sentence, it said when people are experiencing this discomfort, it's when they're doing it without guidance. So there are certain conditions when it actually increases stress. It's not a general thing. If this option said is increases the stress in these cases, then it could be the answer. But it's not saying that. It's too general. Right now, I would still pick A. But let's keep going. C, intensification of emotions. Very tricky. Now it said about the emotions, it says exactly that. It intensifies emotional distress, which means it intensifies emotions. But the word distress is your lead. It's your idea telling you it's not the same thing. Emotions could be happiness, sadness. It could be a positive thing too. But this says emotions generally. The passage said emotional distress only. It's not the same thing. It's not the option. It's just a trick. Physical health, sometimes the examiners throw you a bone and tell you, okay, this one, you don't have to think that hard. There was no place where physical health was mentioned, so you can ignore option D, and that's just a gift for you to make you less stressed. Now, option A is the right answer. It is. It absolutely is. And why this is so hard for us to accept is because it is so simple. When it is so obvious, stress reduction and reduce stress, we also get confused, and you should get confused because sometimes it's a trick. But again, because they want it to be tricky, sometimes they give you the exact answer as is, and that is the correct answer. So there it is. There's no argument against it, but to make sure we got it and we're not tricked, we have to look at everything else, eliminate the wrong ones based on the word choices. Are they specific? Well, this has emotions. It doesn't say distress like in the passage. This says stress increase, but it's just very general. I mean, the conditions for stress increase specifically were different. So it's not the same thing. So guys, when you look at multiple choice options, make sure you look at what is specific. Ask yourself that question. If you can find that word or placement of that in the passage, you can tell yourself, here's the proof. I found it right here. This is why this option is correct. Then that is the correct answer. If you can't find the specific words, don't let the general ones confuse you. I hope this video helped you and it helps boost your CELPIP reading score. If you have any questions, feel free to comment, and please like, share, and subscribe for more content. Take care.